Freedom Park will this morning commemorate the Battle of Cuito Cuanavale. The day is considered as a day of reflection on the liberation struggle history. The event will include a wreath-laying ceremony. For more on the story, let's cross live to SABC News International reporter Khayelihle Khumalo. Kaya, what is the importance of this day?
Well, very much so, Desiree. You go back to 1987 all the way to 1988. Those freedom fighters who met in the southeastern part of Angola, really waging what became a fierce battle in southern Africa. In fact, they always say it was one of the biggest wars just, outside of the World War I and II. But of course, leading to liberation to so many countries in southern Africa. So it was a war that happened in Angola, but pitted against some of the liberation movements, ANC, SWAPO, and many others as well, including, of course, the ruling party in Angola, MPLA. But of course, these saw the defeat of the apartheid South Africa. They had to retreat. But Desiree, to look at the significance of the commemoration, we're joined now by the CEO of Freedom Park, Jane. So Jane, quite a very important day when you look at the Cuito Cuanavale battle. But in essence, what does it mean for this park to remember all those freedom fighters who paid a supreme sacrifice for our democracy?
I think for us this is part of our mandate because we're conceptualized to remember and honor those who died for freedom and humanity. So this commemoration, this day of reflection, is part of fulfilling that mandate. But for us it's also part of preserving our liberation heritage, and not just as South Africans but as Africans. And in particular the focus is also on SADC. So you will see a number of representatives from SADC countries today to show unity, because post the war, we are saying we need to come together to rebuild our continent, but we celebrate also, we acknowledge those who assisted us during our hour of need.
And Jane, why is it important, especially because the history is very key? Oftentimes you can always repeat the mistakes that were committed in the past if you're really careless about the history. So for Freedom Park, why is it very crucial to make sure that South Africans, especially the young ones, are fully educated about where we've traveled, the challenges that you had to traverse to reach this particular point?
The significance of preserving history is so that we don't forget where we come from, but history is embedded in our own heritages. But if we don't remember the challenges and the journey that we have traversed as a country and as a nation, it's easy to repeat the same mistakes. So we want to preserve this. We want to educate, especially young people, to cherish the freedom that we have today, to remember that this freedom was not free. Blood was actually shed, so that they can experience what they're experiencing now, what President Mandela called the joy of freedom. So we need to preserve it. We learn, we draw lessons from that, but also we preserve it so that we don't repeat the same mistakes, but we commit ourselves to building a democratic, united nation and also a united continent.
And just once again, Jane, before I let you go, I've been seeing the program. You have quite a number of representatives from the Southern African region, and across the Cuban ambassador is expected to come, the Russian Federation ambassador as well. So it just goes to show that there were so many contributors, just not in South Africa's democracy, but for Southern Africa, given the very special place that Cuito Cuanavale battle holds in the hearts of the people in this part of Africa.
Yes, definitely, and this is part of why we have this commemoration. And this is, by the way, part of what we call the African Liberation Heritage Route Project, which was approved by the African Union to preserve, for the continent to come together to preserve this liberation. But also it's an opportunity for us to say thank you to those who came, as I've indicated. And you see these countries that are here, the Cubans here in the wall at Freedom Park, amongst the 145,000 names, you have over 2,000 names of the Cubans who died and laid down their lives in African soil so that we can be free, especially in Cuito Cuanavale, which gave us the birth to our democracy and freedom here in South Africa. So it's also an opportunity for us to say, we thank you, we acknowledge what you have done for us, because had it not been because of these countries like Russia, like Cuba, and many other friends of the liberation at the time, we would not have gotten our freedom.
Okay. All right, Jane Mufamadi, thank you so much indeed for your time. So Desiree, that's of course the CEO here at the Freedom Park, but it's quite interesting that the Cuban ambassador is here, and we saw yesterday when the North Gauteng High Court ruled on that 50 million rand donation, where the court said, well, we have to interdict that. It was not really constitutional. So we'll try and get a reaction from the Cuban ambassador, given, of course, the very special relationship that Pretoria and Havana do enjoy.
Of course, we'll be watching, Kaya, and thank you so much for setting the scene for us. This is SABC News reporter Khayelihle Khumalo.